Are we good? Are we good now? Everybody, aha! All right, everybody, say where you're from if you can hear me and see me. Say hello, hello. All right, it sounds like it's good to go. Everybody, if you can't hear me or you can't see me, just type in the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna get right on to it because we're actually running a couple minutes behind. Okay, so today is July 8th. That's correct. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick. I'm a former Nano intern from way back in 2017 and 2018. So I'm very excited to be talking with y'all. This is July. I want to say how many camps I've done. I can't even count anymore because I have lost track of you know um, time and space. That's okay. Anyway, so today we're a week into Camp Nano, and maybe you're writing at full speed ahead, or maybe not if you're like me. If you feel like maybe your story hasn't been what you've planned, or maybe you've hit a little bit of writer's block. Fans back there, guys. If you feel like you have kind of run out of steam a little bit, or maybe hit a wall, you're definitely not alone. So today we're going to unstuck your story by inventing the unexpected. That's today's theme, at least that I came up with. And if you see me looking off to the side, I've got an extra monitor over here, so I'm not just staring off into space, although I do that sometimes. Anyway, what we're going to do first, though, just to kind of get everybody into the zone, because this is, of course, your time to write, your time to focus. We're going to start with a little breathing exercise. All right, we're going to get into the zone together. Maybe there's a lot of stuff vying for your attention these days, and all important stuff, obviously. But let's just try and center our focus for 1 minute. So I'm just going to, lead you all through that, and then we're going to get right on with the first sprint. So I'm going to start a timer for 1 minute and just watch me, and we're going to breathe for like a minute. So 4 in, if you can. Hold it for 7. And then let it go for 8. Let's try it again. All right, one more. All right, everybody. So let's begin. Let's catch up with each other. How about we start by sharing what you've been working on? How has your first week been going? We're going to do that for a couple minutes, and then we're going to get right into a new sprint, which I think will be really exciting. So if you want to share in the chat what you've been working on, I'll pick a few, and I'll comment on those. I'll share with you what I'm doing. This year I don't even know what I'm writing. No, I'm actually doing some short stories this year, which is pretty new to me. I usually write a lot of like sci-fi, fantasy, things like that, but I think I'm going to tackle something new this year. So let's see. Dark Genie says you're doing some character development. Very nice. Brooke K, you have 10,000 words and you're writing about a crime novel. Very cool. Wow, it's moving really fast. Let's see. Writing a young adult contemporary about a trans hockey player. That is awesome. That's really awesome. That's the kind of story we need. Good kind of story. Sci-fi, lots of really interesting and creative story concepts. So I'm really excited for all of you. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get on with the first sprint. So I've got a 5-minute timer. And because, like I said, we're 1 week into NaNoWriMo, you may, like me, feel like you're a little bit stuck. You've kind of got stuck in the mud. Maybe need a little bit of boost. If you don't, that's great. Just, if you don't want to follow this prompt, or you want to, beat your own drum, go right ahead. But today's prompt, and you'll see in the description below, it is work the word stuck or escape into your scene. Whatever you're writing, or if you want to start a new scene, you go right ahead. So without further ado, I am going to start our 5-minute timer. And just FYI, because people have told me in the past that I type really loud, people have told me this in the virtual writing. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It's okay. But I'm not going to be typing. I'm going to be writing by hand, which is, given my handwriting, probably not a great plan, but that's okay. I'm doing my own thing. So everybody, 5-minute timer. I'll let you know when the time is up. Ready? And begin. You guys have about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. And that's the timer. Okay, everybody, put your pens and your pencils and your typing fingers down, and let me know, what's your word count? How many did you get out, if you can? If you're like me and you were writing by hand, eh, what did you write about? Let's share in the chat. What you're kind of working on right now. Maybe something new that you found in the sprint. Did the sprint work for you? Did the prompt was it a good fit for your scene? And just as a kind of reintroduction to anybody here who is just joining, my name is Nick. I was a Nano intern from 2017 and 2018. You've seen me on virtual write-ins before, but it's been a little bit of time since then. And today we're talking about getting unstuck and kind of coming over writer's block, stuff like that. So let's see what we got. We've got 172, 200 words, 203 words. Very good. Stuck in my first sentence. Let's see. And if you want to share maybe a little paragraph or a sentence that you're really proud of, go right ahead and share it in the chat if you want to. Let's see. Okay, dance. That's cool. Working on a journal. This is Lady Lazarus says, working on a journal type short story from the perspective of an 1890s Victorian lady monster hunter. Please sign me up. I want to read that. That sounds fantastic. Let's see. Nat M says, wrote like 10 words of outline. That's okay. See, here's the thing. It's, one of the things that we're going to talk about today is the fact that, no matter what you're writing or how much you're writing a day, it's all about, you write at your own speed. You write what you have to write. And, some days that means only writing a few things. And that's, if we can, help you, keep that motivation up and keep writing, keep telling your story, that's what we want to do. So let's see. In his Zulia Flish, sorry, I'm going to mess up that name. In his dream, he was stuck in a room filling up with water. He was tied to a chair, so that made it harder for him to escape. Luckily, he had a pocket knife in his pocket and managed to escape. I like that. That sounds like a really gripping story, so I'm excited about that. Let's do one more. Let's see. Sam Klein says, life was confusing. Oh, excuse me, death was confusing. That's a cool line. Is that a bit of dialogue, or is this just some narration or something? But I, for one, am just kind of going in some direction or another, and that's totally okay, guys. So to get to today's first discussion topic, we're talking about getting unstuck. Some might just call it writer's block, but it's something we all experience, especially at this point in the month. Especially if you've done NaNoWriMo before, you might feel like you get through the first 3 or 4 days and you're like, all right, full steam ahead. This thing is going to be the best thing I've ever written. I'm so excited. And then you hit day 5 and day 6 and day 7, and you're like, I have to write that this whole month. Like, I got to do this for another 3 weeks. Like, what's up? And, that's totally okay. That's totally normal. You're definitely not alone in feeling that. If you feel like maybe your initial idea wasn't what you expected, or maybe you're feeling like it's less inspiring than you expected, maybe you're sick of your project, maybe you don't want to write, here's the thing about NaNoWriMo. It's about your writing. You don't have to stick to anybody's conventions of what to write or how fast to write or how many words to write. 50,000, at least in November, that's the goal. But it's all about, as long as you get words down on the page, that's the most important thing. So, hopefully, we can work together, kind of help you rekindle some of that inspiration and re-energize your story, maybe by approaching it from a new angle. So I want to ask you guys, what are your best ways of maybe getting your story unstuck? Do you have a few techniques or, methods of kind of getting your inspiration back, maybe trying something new? If you want to share in the chat kind of what's worked for you, maybe what hasn't worked for you in the past, go right ahead. We'll talk about a few of those. So let's read a few. Let's see. Sparkleheart says, writing prompts, very good. Zara writes, sometimes I listen to music that's related to the story that I'm writing. I'm totally with you on that. I don't know how many Spotify playlists that are named after whatever project I'm working on. So I feel like that's a really good way to kind of reignite the story. Yasmin Laura says, free writing from a character's perspectives helps me. That too, I think that is one of my favorite techniques for kind of getting unstuck, is you'll just start a scene and just have them talk about whatever they want to talk about. And eventually you'll find your way back. I take Mackenzie Knowles. I take a walk with a friend and talk through my plots or problems with my plots. That's really good too. One of the best parts about NaNoWriMo and Camp NaNoWriMo is the social aspect. It's kind of making friends and meeting people and talking with people about your writing and kind of sharing ideas and getting re-inspired with each other. Getting out of the house too, I think is really important. I know that when I'm stuck writing something, if I go for a walk with my mask, of course, if I go for a walk, I'll usually come back feeling like clear-headed and energized and like kind of ready to go back to whatever I was doing. Dahlia Hill, I write my dialogue without worrying about what they're doing or making it eloquent, and then I go back later and fill in the blanks. I want to touch on that. Filling in the blanks, I think. There's no rule that says you have to write your story in order. If you feel like a section that you're working on is really, really, it's really boring. I get that a lot too. People tell me that my writing can be boring sometimes, even me. I know, right? No. I'll find that if I can think of a scene that's like I'm really jazzed about that, I'll just jump to that scene and I'll write the boring stuff later. It's okay. Let's read a couple more here. I'm going to drink some water though. Let's see. Ooh. Nile Woman says, I am working directly with Charles Dickens and Victor Hugo characters. I got stuck on my handwritten manuscript, so I started typing it to try and get some inspiration. I like that. That's really creative. I know that today I am, writing longhand, but I've definitely found that at times when, I'm typing something and my hands are tired or my face is tired and I don't want to look at the screen anymore, I'll switch to writing longhand, and sometimes that works. Sometimes it kind of gets things going again. So that's really good. Let's read one more, and then we're going to keep going with the discussion here. Scene jump 2. Ooh, Arisu Babakani. When I start a project and feel that first rush of motivation, I write myself a note to capture that. So when I'm a few days in and discouraged, I can read the note and remember that feeling. That's actually something I'm going to talk about in a little bit in our second discussion period. I think having a reminder of what really made you excited about your story in the first place, if you have something like that, taking some time to kind of go back and reflect on that can be really, really useful, I think. In writing, as in life, it's kind of like the little reminders of kind of what makes it matter is really a good way to kind of break yourself out of a rut if that's what you're experiencing. Okay. Very good, everybody. So personally, my favorite way of getting over kind of writer's block, whatever form it may take, if you're writing a novel or short stories or a script or poetry, whatever you're writing, if you're experiencing just kind of a lag in your story and you really kind of want to shake things up, what I like to do is invent the unexpected. It's catchy. I like it, So to me, at least, that means introducing something completely new to your story, even at random. So if you're trying new things, dialing up the weirdness up or down a few notches. If you've got a fantasy story or a sci-fi story, for instance, uh, introduce something more mundane. If you've got a story that's like a literary fiction or something that's very like down to earth, throw in something wacky. You don't have to keep it in the end, but once again, if the goal is to kind of just shake things up and keep your writing moving, maybe that can really help. Writing in a totally different style, we talked about this here a moment ago. If it's going from your computer to a sheet of paper, if it's going from prose to poetry or a script or something, maybe that'll help you find your way again. And camp is all about trying new things, taking different paths, doing the unexpected. So I really want to encourage that today during our write-in. So I want to ask you, while I'm getting set up for the next sprint, because that's happening in a moment, think about what's something unexpected that you've done so far this month. Something unexpected with your story. I'm reading a couple of great ones. Rami Rules says, "Oh, I was stuck, so I set fire to my main character's school." Probably not great for your main characters, but probably great for the story. That sounds like a really exciting, turn of events. Let's see. I mean, Penumbra Mine, Emma Ward, it says kill someone in your story. You know, that's always a popular route for a lot of writers, I think. um, let's see. Gwen says, I've always been a pantser and ended up giving somewhere between beginning and middle, but this month I forced myself to write an outline and figure out the broad strokes up front. So if that's the unexpected thing, maybe you're a pantser and you decided to plan out this time. Or maybe you're a planner and you decided to just wing it. I'm a planner. I decided to wing it this time, and look where it got me. No, I feel like I'm coming up with some like really exciting and fresh ideas that I hadn't really been able to come up with if I was planning things out. So, whatever you're doing, try doing something unexpected. Okay, so next sprint we're going to do is sprint number 2. Right now, we're going to get a random inspiration. So, what I'd like you to do, if you have a book if you have a book around you, pick up the nearest book to you, turn to a random page, and close your eyes and point on the page. So then take the first sentence you see and try and work it into the scene. If you, like me, because I put all my books away, if you do not have a book near you, that's okay. Go to Wikipedia or something and hit random article and use that as your inspiration. See if you can work it into your story, whether or not it's going to fit in the end. So I'm going to open up a tab of Wikipedia and let's see what we've got. You can watch me here. Random article. Okay. This is exciting. I'm trying to pronounce this one. So the article that I got was Congliptious, which is a 1968 album by Roscoe Mitchell's Art Ensemble, which later became the Art Ensemble of Chicago. It's a jazz album from like 50 plus years ago. So I'm going to find a way to work that into my story. So anyway, the prompt is in the description, but I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to start in 2 seconds here. Ready? And begin. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, that's perfect. Y'all have about 5 minutes left. Got about 2 minutes left, everybody. And that is our time, everybody. So put your pens down, put your tapping fingers away, and yeah, let's talk about what you wrote. If you want to share maybe your word count, maybe a nice sentence that you liked from what you just wrote. Let me know if if you had something that was really unusual as your randomized sort of inspiration. Wow, Zara writes 723 words. Awesome. Ariso Babakani 122. Awesome. Marissa M 73. Awesome. Nave Byrne 223. Awesome. Nat M 75. Awesome. Let's see. Jillian Holderfield. Frantically, Cassiopeia scanned through the names. Lo and behold, there it was in Sinistra's flowing handwriting, Mr. G. Weasley. Is this fan fiction? I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see here. Nice. Lots of great things here. Kate Miller, just FYI, it's going to be recorded so that if you want to rewatch it later, anytime, you're really welcome to. And write however you can. Let's see. Joel Castile 0 because I'm reading to get unstuck. Awesome. I mean, I think reading is a really important part of writing. So just whatever you need to do. Let's see. Alex 81209. Wise follow the masses, keeping his head down as he dropped a few coins into the sailor's hand. Ooh, that's definitely evokes like a cool image. Like I like it. That's really cool. Carrie Kavanaugh, but also before I knew it, I was slipping into the jaws of a nightmare. That's also very. I like it's very atmospheric. Great. Ellen Porter, the line I pulled out of my book was in charge of the property and the cattle. That's interesting. I mean, so hopefully with this exercise, you've been able to kind of get some unusual sources of inspiration that maybe you just wouldn't have considered otherwise. So good job, everybody. We're going to move on to the next discussion. So we're going to be talking more about the why and the how of keeping your writing going. So before it was kind of more like, hey, what are your techniques for getting unstuck? But right now I want to talk more specifically about some tips. So I reached way back into the Nano archives for all of our best tips on how to beat writer's block. So I'm just going to kind of read through a few of them. And if you want to share along the way some of your other favorite techniques and tactics for getting unstuck, let us know. So one of the first ones I want to cover, I think it's one that I mentioned before. If your story may have kind of lost its steam a little bit, try writing from a different approach. So if you're a pantser, so if you're somebody that really just go, you write without any real plan in place or even just a very rough outline, try plotting out your next few scenes really in detail. You don't have to stick to it, but if you kind of explore maybe maybe what you might want to do next, give it a try. And likewise, if you're a plotter, try writing something stream of consciousness. I'm definitely somebody that has to outline ahead of time, and I spend a lot of time doing that. But I think one of the things that gets me unstuck more often than not is just saying, okay, I'm just gonna kind of go in some direction and see what happens. And there's usually a couple nuggets out of there. Another one is kind of the thought of like, what if your story doesn't feel interesting to you anymore? That's a tough one because it's kind of hard to admit sometimes. Like if you feel bored by your story, there's going to be trouble because you're not going to want to write it anymore. And if you want to kind of rekindle that excitement, think about what first inspired your story. So if it was hearing a song or watching a movie or just something you read, whatever it was that inspired your story, try to revisit that and maybe think about approaching it from a different direction. So if you think to yourself, I have this story that is inspired by my favorite book series, maybe think about like, what if the beginning of my project took a different turn? Maybe you went in a different direction. Another tactic, maybe go back to the last scene that really troubled you and change it completely, or just write about the most exciting thing in your story that you are planning on and go from there. Like we said before, it's there's no need to kind of go in order with your writing, because that's what editing's for. I know that in years past, one of the projects that I did when I was an intern was very purposely written out of order. I had 30 little sections for each of the days, and then each day I pulled a random number of 1 through 30, and I wrote that section. And it ended up taking some weird turns, but I liked it. I liked writing it. Another one that I think a lot of us struggle with, I'm going to say it, is high standards. Sometimes, it's easy to start your story and think, all right, I'm going to write the best thing ever. It's going to be the best thing ever. I'm going to end this month with a completely written novel, and it's going to hit the shelves right away. It's okay. It's okay, guys. One thing I have to say about that is, in writing, as in life, it's generally not healthy to place your whole sense of self-worth just on that one thing. If you feel like, your ability to succeed or your skill as a writer depends on you getting the best story out there right now, I have some bad news for you. You feel like you might set yourself up for failure, and that's not what anybody wants, especially on your first draft. I think once again, that's what editing is for, is going back and fixing things. Like some are saying in the chat, imposter syndrome. It's a real deal, and it's hard, because you want to write the best thing that you possibly can. One thing that I do whenever I really get into that mood of like, I can't believe this thing I'm writing is total garbage, I hate it. What I end up doing is I'll set that project aside, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to write something on a deadline that I know is just going to be super rough, and I'm never going to look at it again, but I'm just going to get it done. I'll say, okay, it's a Monday. By Wednesday, I want to have written this thing, and I'm just gonna see what I do there. Don't really expect anything else from it, and just get it done. And I feel like, for me at least, that often rekindles my excitement for whatever else I'm writing, because by the time I'm done writing this thing that is designed to be just kind of rough and kind of not what you expected, oftentimes I'll go back to whatever I was writing and say, wow, I'm really excited about this again. Got a couple more points here. Needing a break, that's a big one. Goes without saying that there is a lot going on in the world right now. This is a happy place right now, so I'm not going to get into all that. But, there's a lot of really important things, vying for your attention right now. And that's okay. But it's also bound to exhaust us. A lot of us have been under quarantine or shelter in place in some form for 3.5+ months. And yeah, I mean, maybe you feel like your routine has kind of gotten really hard to keep up, or you're struggling with something else. And number one, whatever you're doing, stay safe and be good to yourself and the people around you. In terms of your writing, though, I'd say, if you feel like you need to take a break from your writing, take a break. Take a break. No one is forcing you to write, 1,600 words in a day. If you're not feeling up for it, parcel out your writing time in a way that you can manage. One metaphor that I like is, you are your own flower, and you're going to bloom in your own time. So that means, whatever you're writing, don't sacrifice sleep or hydration or nutrition. Make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you're eating enough for you. Stay mindful of your own well-being. Sometimes you're your own worst enemy, and I think I'm gonna go against nano lore here, but I'm saying it's just a story. It's not the be all end all of everything. It's just a piece of writing, but it is your piece of writing, and it matters that you get through it in one piece. I know that's something that I've struggled with a lot in the past. Writing things and feeling like, yeah, this is my whole life, and I'm gonna stay up late. I'm not gonna eat anything. I'm not gonna sleep. I'm just gonna kind of write that. And that was college for me. Anyway, point point is, make sure that you can find some balance, because that's really important for making sure you get through the whole thing on your own terms. So make sure, yeah, self-care is that's the point. Self-care is number one. Um, One last little thing, and a little bit lighter, is one tactic that I really like is give your characters a time limit. So I was reading a story earlier today that I was really enjoying, and one of the setups from the story that I feel like I forget a lot is giving your characters a time limit within the story, saying, "Here is your mission, whatever it is. Go rescue this person. Go solve this problem. Go defuse the bomb. Go make it to this place. Whatever it is." Um, Setting out a time limit for your characters, saying they've got to do it in 3 days. You're like, whoa, now it really has to propel forward. Every time you feel like the story's lagging, you can always fall back on, what if they don't make it in time. So nothing propels a story quite forward quite like a deadline. And so again, if your story has unexpectedly hit a wall, then do something unexpected in response. So I hope those tips have been really helpful. What we're going to do now, with all that in mind, is we're going to go on to our third and final sprint of the day. So we're going to apply that logic to your story. Do something unexpected. So let's face writer's block head on and invent the unexpected. So this means wherever you're at in your story or the scene from the last sprint, introduce something wild. It could be a time traveling shovel of death. You could introduce somebody's evil twin. You could kill off a character. You could open up a secret passage. Whatever it is, as long as it's not where your story's supposed to go that direction. See what happens. You know. So we're gonna go and do this for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna do some time to wrap up. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, whoops, start the timer. In my story, I'm going to spawn in a big bag of avocados. That's what's going to happen. So anyway, 10 minutes, and the clock starts now. Got about 5 minutes left. Got about 2 minutes left. That's our time. All right. Everybody put your pens down and put your typing fingers down. We're going to take 1 minute and go over what y'all wrote about. I'm going to pick a couple and just talk about here. As for me, I ended up spawning in a big bag of avocados for my characters, and I used it as a way to get them to know some other supporting characters. So it was like they have to make a guacamole party or something. Let's see. Allison Upson Clement, 449 words. Very good. Got the sentence from the last prompt and continue that story. Nice. Rami rules. My heroes had to defuse a bomb on a blue cow that they genetically made. Let's just say it ended badly for the cow. That's sad, but makes for an exciting story, that's for sure. Let's see. Okay. Ooh. Amy Amato, I put a random lady who was feeding pigeons and saying creepy things to the main character. Very cool. Pucks and paperbacks. I was in the middle of a snowstorm, so I made the power go out. Nice. Second, I'm going to read one more. 589 words. Lots of great word counts. Hi. Let's see. Nice. Wow. So it sounds like you're all introducing some really exciting, unexpected elements to your stories. And as always, you don't have to include it in the final version of your story. But maybe it's helped you get a little bit unstuck, or maybe inspired you to try some new things. So I think we're going to wrap it up in just a couple of minutes here. Hopefully, if your story was stuck before, it's unstuck. And again, maybe if you're still going full speed ahead, you've got a few new ideas to play with. Let's see. Ooh, Audrey Poor. Sorry, I'm going to read this one too. 189 words. I used a D12 to decide which character would talk next. I should have included that in the list of tips before. I have definitely done that in the past. I've rolled the D20 to determine what happens next. So definitely like randomize is like a really cool and fun way to introduce some new things to your story. So dice, great idea. So yeah, let's see. There's another virtual write-in next week. I'm gonna give you some final business here. I think a week from today is the 15th, and you're gonna want to check on the website. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it's gonna be at 1 o'clock. But you'll get an alert. Don't forget to like and subscribe to NaNoWriMo, the obligatory comment there for a live stream. I also wanted to let you know that we're going to be starting, it's actually already started, we're starting our summer fundraising drive for NaNoWriMo. So starting yesterday, the 7th, and through the 17th, we're raising money for the Young Writer Program at Home program. So if you're not familiar with the Young Writers Program, it's a great program that sends teaching kits to teachers in classrooms all around the country, including workbooks, curriculum, and it's a great way to kind of get a lot of young students motivated and excited about writing. It's really great. So this fall, due to COVID, we're expecting more teachers and students to use the site than ever before because of distance learning. And so Nano is building some new features into the website, expanding their server capacity. They're making better classroom kits that are more suited to distance learning. And I think there's also plans to translate the workbooks into Spanish for greater accessibility. So a lot of really exciting stuff. We're hoping to raise, I think, $15,000 with a deadline. If you give $25, if you can, you'll receive a special pack of school supplies, which has a pencil, an eraser, a sticker, and button, and lots of great goodies. And more importantly, it supports the Young Writers Program. So if you go to nanorama.org/YWP at home, I'll paste that link here. You can check that out. And if it's within your means, if you want to donate, that's great. Keep supporting NaNoWriMo and students all around the world. So that about wraps things up. So it's been a great time. I have loved hearing about your projects. And it's really great to do another virtual write-in. And that's about it. I think the chat's going to remain open for a few more minutes, but for now, I am going to sign off. So Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, stay socially distanced, and get enough sleep. All right, bye, everybody.